If you're wondering if the Crew 2 is worth it, then this video is for you. But in order to know that, we have to look at the gameplay, what are the pros and cons, and who will actually enjoy playing the game. So should you buy the Crew 2? Let's find out. The Crew 2 is an open world racing game, but it is so much more than that. The sheer diversity in gameplay is where this game really sets itself apart from all the other games. The Crew 2 doesn't just offer cars and racing, it offers every kind of vehicle, including boats and even planes. And I can already tell you now that the game is worth it, but it does have its cons. For instance, if microtransactions is a deal breaker for you, do not buy this game. Now the game has 12 different racing disciplines, all with their own sets of vehicles and races. This means there's gameplay for everyone. Everything from standard racing to flying in the air or even skill-based events. Now the Crew 2 is out on full release for $50, but it is quite often on sale. Now the map in the Crew 2 is one of the best features. The open world aspect offers a new playstyle not often seen in racing games before. The game takes place in the USA and it will take over 30 minutes to cross the entire map. And if you want to drive across all the different roads, it will take over 10 hours. Each state is also represented in their own way, and of course have their own cities and their landmarks. And this allows for a huge diversity in landscape and biomes, so you have anywhere from the lush forest and rivers to big open deserts. And you can explore this map for hundreds of hours in your car, boat or plane, and you can still find new things. So if you're into the whole exploration and freedom part, you will enjoy this feature. Now the Crew 2 has a feature called Live Extreme Event. In this event you conquer all types of vehicles, swapping between cars, boats and aircrafts in a single race, and these are a lot of fun. Now the first mechanic of gameplay we're looking at is of course the vehicles. Now the Crew 2 has over 400 total different vehicles in any category imaginable. So that of course includes the standard cars, boats and planes, but also even hovercrafts, dirt bikes and monster trucks, to give you an example. So the sheer diversity here is one of the Crew 2's selling points. And with this many different vehicles, also follow races and areas special made for every kind. Unfortunately, as it currently stands, many of the vehicles handle and sound the same, but that is currently being updated. The next thing we're looking at is the customization. Now this game has great customization, but only really for the road cars. Here there's a lot of customization, including the interior. It's also great for first person, as you can alter the colors, the seats and the dashboard and more. And you can therefore make your vehicle very unique. And with how long it could take to unlock certain vehicles, this is a great feature. Now performance customization is a different story. To make your vehicles faster, you gotta equip new parts. And these parts come in the form of upgrade cards with a set number on them. And that number corresponds to how good the upgrade actually is. The main issue here is that performance increase from these are very small and underwhelming. And this is mainly due to how often you get these card upgrades. Now there is a big difference between the stock car and a maxed out one, but this system does seem a bit flawed to me. Instead of giving me 100 small upgrades that I can't really feel or see, I would rather have 10 really big and difficult upgrades that feel really impactful, but that might just be me. Now the Crew 2 also lets you leave your car, and you have an actual house you can walk inside, where all your beautiful cars are parked. And the more you unlock in the game, the more you play, the greater your apartment also becomes, and you get more floors unlocked. Now the Crew 2 does have a small amount of backstory, but it isn't very in-depth. This also means you have full control over your gameplay and you aren't forced into follow a certain path. Now for the multiplayer. The Crew 2 has a solid player base, so it is usually not an issue finding lobbies and players to race against. You can also play co-op multiplayer with up to 3 friends to form a crew. And you can of course complete events together. And also roaming together in the open world with your pals is also superb. Now the graphics in the Crew 2 are good. They're not great, but it does make sense with the sheer size of this game. They had to compromise somewhere. Now the game doesn't look as polished as some of the similar games as in Forza Horizon 5, but the Crew 2 is still being updated by developers, and the graphics is one of the focus points. Now one of the best things about the Crew 2 is the replayability, and it is great. The cars are actually expensive in this game, and this means that it can take a long time and dedication to unlock them, but the reward and sensation of progression is great and really satisfying. The game also allows you to acquire cars through the unique icon level. This is basically done by getting followers, which is one of the social media progression metrics of the game. This unlocks free cars, boats and planes, and these are all the same for every player. Now the in-game progression is called rival events. Basically by completing a ton of races in 12 different disciplines, you unlock the rival events. And if you win the rival event, you unlock the ultimate vehicles. This includes supercars, helicopters and much more. This provides a great in-game goal, as you'll need to play a lot, upgrade your car a lot in order to win these races, and of course to show off how cool you are with your rival vehicle. If you find this video useful so far, make sure to boop the like button, as it really helps out the channel. Thank you so much for doing that. Now let's look at some pros and cons of the game. The first pro we're looking at is the quick swap mechanic. This basically allows you to swap between car, boat and aircraft on the fly, and this is fantastic for the open world part, as you can transform into the desired vehicle at any time without opening any weird menus, and this is a great feature. The next pro is the open world elements. The ability to just drive around and do as you please and even have fun with your friends is fantastic. The open world also features tons of events, including police chases, so even just driving around can be really eventful. Next pro is the variety. This game offers so many things to do, from 400 different vehicles, tons of different race types, 2 random and weekly events, you can easily have this game as your main game and never run out of things to do. Now for the cons. For me, the biggest con is the microtransactions. The game has an extensive in-game shop with limited time, cars, and cosmetics. So if you hate microtransactions as much as I do, definitely look into this deeper before buying the game, as this can be a deal breaker for you. The next con is the online requirement. You must be connected to internet at all times while playing this game, so be aware of this. And the final con is the handling and sound. This could definitely use some work, and it may feel off to you, but the developers are actively updating it, so here's to hoping. Now let's grade the game, shall we? The first thing we're looking at is the gameplay. That's the most important part. So here we're looking at the mechanics, the system, and does the game work as intended. Now a lot of the mechanics and system in this game are actually really well done. The racing is fun, the diversity is great, also customization is pretty good. So this would actually be a pretty high grade if it were not also for this system of microtransactions. So in gameplay, I give the Crew 2 a B. It would definitely been an A if it were not for the microtransactions though. The next thing we're grading on is the graphics, the sound, and immersion. Now the graphics are pretty good. I've seen better, but they are pretty good. And the sound could also use a bit of work. The sounds are good, but there needs to be more of them. More unique car sounds, for instance. So here I give the grade of a B as well. And the final thing we're grading on is progression and replayability. Basically, just if it feels meaningful. And here I actually give the game an A+. The progression feels really good in this game. You start off slow in the early game, you work your way up, and the cars are actually expensive. And also the icon system feels really unique. And you can easily get hundreds, if not thousands of hours of replayability because the game is that massive and have so much variety in it. And therefore, the overall grade of the Crew 2 is a B+. Now, if you don't mind the microtransactions, this will definitely be a game for you. And the Crew 2 is by far the most unique open world race game out there. Now, it will take a long time to unlock the ultimate cars, and early game is fairly slow. But if you enjoy the early game of working your way through the levels and slowly upgrading more and more, the progression and satisfaction is definitely worth it. Also, the sheer amount of variety and gameplay makes up for the less impressive graphics, and the game is actually still being updated to this day, improving the gameplay, graphics, and more. Now, the Crew 2 does cost $50, and the game is quite often on sale, but if you don't want to wait, you will easily get your money's worth in the sheer amount of variety and gameplay, even for $50. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and also check out some of the game reviews on the screen now, as I think you also really enjoy those. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.